Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scratchy Post. We scratch that gaming itch. Sorry about that, everyone. There's been a bit of a problem with the intro lately. Basically, it's a bit of a issue with the kind of posting to various groups, so I had to basically manually deal with that. That's why there's been a bit of delay in the start of the podcast. Welcome to the Scratching Post. We scratch that gaming itch, and today, once again, it's the Common Dead podcast. We are back. We are back. We are back, and I'm going to move over to the scene because that's where all of us and our lovely faces would be. Hello, everyone.
Would be is the correct answer.
Would be is the correct answer. Me and Shadow have got
our
cameras up. Lemming has had some issues with this camera, and Burr's not feeling too well, so we basically decided to. We've got a red panda. Red panda.
Panda. Yeah.
Burr has turned into a red panda.
Burr is panda. Yeah. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Scratching Post. We scratch that gaming itch. So, the Common Dead podcast. Anyone who's not been here before, what I do is I gather my friends and we comment densely upon the news that's happened over the last month, as well as present our own topics for discussion. And today we've got one hell of a show planned. The topic right now, of course, as you can see, is our remakes and remasters. That was the last topic that we had. We're now going to be talking about news.
That was a long time ago. That remakes and
Yes.
remaster podcast because everything.
That
we were
episode,
delayed. We were delayed. That's the word. We were delayed.
that episode already deserves its own remaster.
Yeah.
That's how long it was.
Okay, Gavin. So let's kind of just talk about this. So, how's everyone been recently?
I'm alive. Yay.
Getting better. Yeah.
Good.
I'm sick. I'm ill.
Aw.
No.
But on the good side of news, I finished the goat of this year, most likely.
Oh, Drifting
We'll
says
see.
Drifting says she's cold. So
Yeah, it is cold.
I'm drifting.
wrap yourself in a blanket, Drifting.
I have one here. It's just out of camera. I'm trying to be slightly professional. Slightly. She says slightly professional, and then you can see her boots in the background.
Slightly professional as the guy who runs the show, currently sitting in his bedroom, pretty much, which is in a state because it always is, drinking from a McDonald's.
Please no, we are not sponsored by McDonald's.
We are not sponsored by McDonald's.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored by
Other-
or by Coca-Cola.
Or by Coca-Cola. Other retail establishments we can restaurants are available elsewhere in the world. But
Yes.
yeah,
Although, if they do want to sponsor us,
if they do want to sponsor us, I'm good, but get your fucking orders right.
Yeah, and on that note, shout out to Gourmet Burger
go my burger kitchen.
diner in Birmingham, next close to NEC. Please sponsor us. You're
Oh
awesome.
my god, yes,
Well,
best place.
we should do like when we come back from the UK Games Expo, we should do like an extended podcast about our experience about that, because I think like there's so much about like what we get onto apart from just the gaming weekend that I think would be nice to kind of
Yeah.
discuss.
Yes.
But that's something that we can think about for the July episode of 2023.
Yeah. Or we could do an in real life podcast.
Yeah. There's a thought.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it would be right because Lemming can't make it.
You all have fun. I'll
Yeah.
be in Malta.
And the thing, if Lemming could make it, I would do like an actual in-life session for the RPG
That
as
would
well.
be
So.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
would
I'm clutching my head right now, but my world conspires to stop me from hanging out with you guys.
It does seem like
Like-
that way sometimes.
My parents say, "Oh yeah, we'll pay for you to come to Malta with us next year. It'll be great." So I'm like, "Okay, fine, you're paying. I've got my passport. Everything will be fine." And then it's like they book it. I've got my tickets. Got everything ready. That's when UK Games Expo is. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
and then
You-
the
we
same
need
week
to-
I'm in Malta. Malta is
Yeah.
great. I'll
Malta is
agree with
great.
drifting.
It is a great place.
Yeah.
But
we
I
need
would
to
also
come
like to
up
point
with-
out
Yeah.
it's the same week as a big metal festival I would also want to go to.
Oh
Oh
no!
no! We need to come up with something like Valletta Games Expo or something that
Yeah.
happens in Malta, and we
I
go there.
Yeah, didn't Scarf say when we were together at UK Games Expo this year about going north? Because that would
Yes,
be great.
yes, please, yes,
Yeah.
please,
Yes,
yes,
go
please,
north.
come
We
north.
can,
Yes.
pick, pick up Lemming.
Go.
Yes, come
Go
here.
north where the air is free.
I've never gone further north than I have gone further north.
You all
I've
need
gone
to come
into
north.
Scotland.
I'll
You
need,
need to
I'll,
come to SunnyCon, the Northern Anime Convention. Come see me.
I'll need a parka to keep with the cold, but I'll be fine.
Oh, please.
Um,
We're not Scotland.
Yeah.
Might as
Still
well be.
cold.
Yeah.
we can get you an Inverness cape.
I
That's
mean,
the
have you
best we
seen
can
how
do.
thin these arms are?
Right then. So
Oh, dear.
I'm glad to hear.
I don't know about you guys, but I think Al would look great in an Inverness cape and a dewstalker cap and a pipe.
Ooh. Funny enough, we might get on to talking about something related to that later tonight. So
Wow.
that's so I'm glad to hear everyone is being. You mentioned the goat, but I'm guessing that's Ragnarok, given that you finished it.
Yes, that is God of War Ragnarok, which had a very difficult challenge to beat his predecessor, which was one of the best games of the previous decade.
Mm.
And he succeeded.
Oh, well, glad to think so. I'm currently playing through Dad of Boy 2, so
Yeah.
I will hopefully get to the end, which you can also catch my streams on my Twitch channel, on this very channel.
Another F in chat for me. I'm finally playing the first one.
Oh, but no, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
You know.
You'll love it. You
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're shutting up about Dad of Boy 1. We don't want any spoilers.
Yeah. If I see any
So, you
spoilers in
know,
chat, I will
yeah.
yeet you
Yeah.
off.
No
Off
spoilers
distance
in chat.
entirely.
No one mentions Thanos or anything that happens in that game.
I mean, to be fair, the identity of the first boss has already been revealed to me by a co-worker. So,
Oh,
Oh.
Boo.
I would
I
bitch slap that
Yeah.
coworker across the face if I could.
I wish I could, but I would probably get fired.
Yeah.
It's not just the way you just want to bitch slap people at work and that you can't for some weird reason.
Yeah,
I
you
know,
there's
right?
repercussions.
Yeah. Yes.
S-
On the other hand, you know, you get to experience the Norse pantheon, so you kind of go and try to like figure out on your own, eliminate. Okay, this is probably not this one. It's probably not this one. This is.
Oh, I've kind of
probably
already figured
not-
out who it. Yeah, I kind of figured out who it was of my knowledge because of my knowledge of Norse mythology as is.
Mm.
So, you know, the whole "I cannot be harmed" sort of thing is just like, who in Norse mythology couldn't be harmed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of figured that one out.
Uh,
It's all good.
Speaking of bitch slapping, in probably heavy power armor, Lemming, what have you been playing recently?
I've been playing Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide.
That's
The
first-person
beta,
squad-based-
which ended yesterday.
Yeah, the first.
friends.
It's the first-person squad-based Warhammer game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically think of the the current evolution of the Left 4 Dead idea. You have a group of 4 people with characters that they have built of various, various levelable classes, and you go into various end of the world scenarios and stop the world from ending.
So is it like
In
a
small
spin-off
situations.
of Vermintide?
Yeah, it's 40k Vermintide. You're basically you're a convict for whatever reason, who gets picked up by the Inquisition for whatever reason, and you're then sent in to basically do suicide missions for them because you're throwaways. But the more missions you complete, the more rep you have with them, the better gear you get, and so on. So I have a level 18 Ogrin, which is my, that's my favorite class to play as, who is basically a space ogre.
Nice.
Space ogre with a big tower shield, a big club, and then a shotgun that has to have a fire rate limiter because Ogrins like big loud noises, and they would blow their entire ammo dump in a couple of minutes.
Shadow, what have you been playing?
I've been ignoring my backlog and playing and going through Stardew Valley for like umpteenth time. Although I recently played a bit of Call Keeper with Lemming, Weird, and some other fine gentlemen,
Yes.
and that was okay. It's just I think I'm gonna wait until it's fully released. But also I have been playing the one game that I really want to talk about because we've had this podcast delayed for a little while. Ghostbusters: Spirits Unleashed.
Yes, we need to talk about
Yes.
Which we need to play more
We
of.
need to play
I
more
swear
of,
to
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if we weren't organising the podcast for the Tuesdays, I probably would have said, "Yo, guys, you want to hop onto Ghostbusters?"
Yeah.
I still have it installed.
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
one of the few
Me
things I haven't
too.
installed yet.
Yeah, we need to see the cutest teddy bear again.
I
Well-
need to do more tasks. So
Keep in mind that we do have the Tuesdays between the podcasts.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Thing is, we've been pushing the podcast back so much.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's always been like that week, so we couldn't like plan something else. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, now we've
Yes.
actually done the podcast. We can now start doing it.
Yeah, because I would love to get some of my tasks complete, and also it's just fun sometimes being a little shit when you're a ghost.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't like playing with like other people against me. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. No, I just
playing
like
with
playing
randoms is awful, but playing with friends is just
Yeah.
like, yes, I
just-
get to mess with you.
But
Yes.
regarding the games that you've played, Shadow, I wanted to ask you one thing.
Oh no.
Have you been maybe checking, because Core Keeper is early access? Have you
I
been
know
maybe
this.
checking if people have been raising problems that the skewed tin economy is something that should be corrected?
I have not checked that, but I would probably raise that as it's fucking ridiculous. They need like in order to go up a technology level, it's like here, how you need 15 tin bars. Where the fuck am I gonna find tin? Absolutely.
Yeah, I have
nowhere.
9 in my current playthrough. I'm just like, where the hell are they?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like oh.
Well, inspired by Shadow's comment, I'm going to put out the personals right now. For Ghostbusters, seek player to be Ghost in in future Ghostbusters games, well, and also be part of the two. You know, we'd switch it up between
Yeah.
the thing. But yeah, if someone's out there looking for someone who wants to be, or someone who knows us very well wants to get on Ghostbusters, you know, I'm pretty sure we can arrange a copy of that to be
Yeah.
sent your way. But yes, anyway.
Yeah, I think we could.
I could arrange, but
Oh.
can't let you have all the fun.
Yes,
you
dear.
already got a lot to answer for, Mr. Butter.
Now,
I know.
sorry, I'll be playing this card all evening, so it's not like a credit card. So no one, you don't try and zoom on it. It literally is. It's my extended warranty for my recent shaver.
Okay.
It's
I was looking at it and I was thinking, wait, is that like
What the
is
fuck
that
is
not
that?
like the pass for the London Underground?
no.
I mean, you probably can hack the Oyster card and get free tickets.
That's the thing. I've got
So, let's get into the news. What's been going on? As per normal, the news is a nebulous thing that always runs away from us, and there's always so much to cover that's too much. So we tend to pick like a few kind of choice articles that we caught our eye and discuss that densely upon this podcast.
Yes.
Right then, so let's start off with two, I think, topics on the same kind of wavelength. Shadow,
hello.
you've got a news article to go over, haven't you?
Have I?
Have
Which
you?
one was that?
I thought you were going to go over professional people here, people. I thought you were going to
No,
go
I
over...
thought you would. I thought you wanted to do the voice actor nonsense first.
Oh, yeah, sure, the voice actors.
That's not me. That's
Yeah,
not me.
no.
Sir.
Oh,
let me,
yes.
Yeah,
That's
voice
the-
actor nonsense.
let me put my better news at the end.
This is
Probably
the-
Yeah,
better.
voice
yes,
actor
the good news.
nonsense is I, the
Yeah.
Red Panda.
Okay.
I bring you Bayonetta 3, which was released quite recently, and before the whole release thing, the actress that was the voice actress that was playing Bayonetta in the previous 2 installments, sent a video, recorded a video where she was saying that she has been an alumni of this, and this theater, and she's done so much work, and the company that was making Bayonetta treated her to an offer of $4,000 for all her work, and she's the voice of Bayonetta, and they've just slapped her on the face, and she was rallying people to boycott Bayonetta 3, not buy this game at all. And because usually in the case of like an actor versus corporation, the actor usually is right, people initially started siding with her.
Yeah. One thing that we should get context on. This was only a couple of weeks, I think, after
Yeah.
the Super Mario movie trailer came out, and everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Chris Pratt is a shitty voice actor. Charles Martinet, I'm so sorry." You got done so
yes,
dirty.
indeed. So people
Yes.
were still full of compassion for Charles Martinet. So that was on the 15th of October, and then over a few days later, as people were like shouting things towards a lot of people, including Hideki Kamiya, the one of the CEOs of Platinum, who did end up like mass banning everyone left, right, and center, including 3 of the 4 people in this podcast.
Hi.
I am the only person
Yeah.
Javier has not blocked. That's because I haven't interacted
Yeah.
with him.
I mean, to be fair, it's what comes naturally to him. He breathes air,
Yeah.
he blocks people. That's just how he works.
It's kind of a thing. Yeah, it's even in
It's-
his bio that if
yeah,
you speak
it's-
English to him, he will block you.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
doesn't matter.
It's a badge of honor. It's also a sign that he's a dickhead. But that's
Yeah.
just
whether
He is kind of a
you know,
dickhead.
yeah,
Regardless,
whether
I'm just
whether-
gonna say,
yeah.
regardless of how this pans out, Kamiya is kind of an ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, whether you've been banned or not doesn't matter because he left Twitter anyway. Because his account was blocked because of that mass ban. Because
Yeah,
people decided
he was banning so hard that Twitter was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck is going
Oh,
on?"
is it
with
still
this?"
gone?
he couldn't make it manually, so he set up bots that were banning people. And I think this is why he was blocked, at least temporarily. But
Oh yeah, it was like this
rega-
account has
yeah.
suspicious activity, just like
regardless of the problem with Helena Taylor, Kamiya is a dick, whether he's right or not. He's still a horrible person.
Yep, he's still an asshole.
It's still serve him right. But going back to Helena Taylor, Jason Schreier, a games journalist currently from Bloomberg's, he's always digging into things. So he dug out that she was offered much more than the 4,000, and Taylor denied at the time.
yeah,
And people,
well, didn't IGN like poke into it as well a little bit?
yes, IGN poked into this too, and they were all saying that this is lies, this is not true, and people were kind of then piling on some extra information, like Brian Deckard, who was voice actor for Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2. He was saying that he was offered in a non-union project for a big budget game. He was offered a 4,000 as well. Similar thing was shared by Sean Chiplock, who voiced 3 characters in Breath of the Wild. He said that he was, for that job, which was a couple of hours, he was paid $3,000 as well. So they were saying that Helena Taylor is in a similar situation. But it turns out later that, first of all, around 24th of October, in a Twitter exchange, she confirmed that what Schreier discovered, which is that she was paid more, was confirmed. That actually what happened was that they have offered her $10,000. She got upset and she wrote a very strong-worded email to Kamiya saying like, this is how much I'm worth to you, 10,000 measly dollars. So he said, okay, we'll give you 5,000 more. And she was still $50,000. No, I'm upset. So they decided, okay, we'll take away this job from you, and we'll give you some minor role for only 4. And she was still upset, and she was reporting then about that 4.
The issue isn't what the issue isn't what she's. It's the issue that comes back to this, that she misrepresented the facts from the start to make her case seem more sympathetic.
We're going to be honest, it's still a low amount.
Still a low amount.
But the problem is, she lied to begin with. That's the main problem everybody has here. It's still a shit amount, but she didn't need to lie to begin with.
It is an absolutely shit amount. She is absolutely right that the Bayonetta franchise earns millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I remember a lot of people talking about this argument saying, well, why should, because voice actors in TV movie, they get residuals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Guess what,
there's
guys?
yeah.
Everybody should get residuals.
Yeah.
The voice
Yeah.
actors
Yeah.
in video games
Absolutely,
should.
yes.
The developers should.
Yeah.
You should get residuals
Because
too.
people kept on
Yeah.
saying, "Well, why should the voice actors get residuals and not the developers?" Like, that's not the argument. Everyone should get residuals.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
thing is, the
Yeah.
company doesn't want that because suddenly the company that's earning so much money now earns a little bit less money because it's not going to pay
Yeah.
out so much.
But
Yeah, but they want
Yeah.
all the money.
Yeah. But still,
Yeah.
the strange thing is the company is getting rid of that money because people like Bobby Kotick or other CEOs would give themselves huge quarterly awards, like a couple $100,000, $1 million awards for a great quarterly result. That could literally go as bonuses, as pay raises, as residuals for
Now,
uh, for the artists,
I'm gonna
for
take-
the developers.
I'm going to take what you said, Burr. That it's not that that could though. It should go to.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The CEO
Yeah.
does pretty much. The CEO doesn't make the fucking game.
Nope.
Yeah.
The CEO is a figurehead that runs
Yeah.
the corporation itself. If the CEO wants to have the CEO giving himself a pat on the fucking back is, in my opinion, something which is so
Yeah.
overdone. I think it's a ridiculous thing. Oh, well done. Your company did great. Well, guess what? Do all the people in your company, do they get pay rise as well? No, only you. Oh, because your company
Let's
did well
just-
didums.
Let's not sugarcoat it either. It's not it's not just the CEO. Executives in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that also like I just had like I just a revelation in my head. Like that reminds me of for anybody who's not seen it, H Bomber Guy has actually released a video for once in a long time, and it's basically about it's got one of those videos where it's like, this is where the Roblox oof sound came from. It's a funny little, and it's kind of like, this is where it came from, and stuff like that. But I'm gonna spoil it. I would like completely recommend that everybody like watch the thing. It's like 2 or so hours long, but it's well worth the watch because it's not just about the Roblox oof. It's about this guy, Tommy Tallarico, who owns Tallarico Studios, I think, who took the credit for making the Roblox oof sound from one of his sound directors or sound engineer. I can't remember which one, but I think it was Joe It's not Vargas, but one of those. It's a V surname. I'll have to look it up. I'm so sorry.
Well,
But-
Joe Vargas is Angry
Angry
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, there's Joey somebody.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Joey somebody. And basically, Tommy Tallarico went, yes, I made the Roblox oof sound, and I will now sell it to you in a sound pack because I can. When really it was this guy who probably made it and at least did it properly, kind of thing. And then it's a very long video about how Tommy has taken credit for lots of things. And I was just thinking that's how a lot of these studios work. It would suit them perfectly fine if the people who actually did the work, like the devs and that, just shut the fuck up and went and disappeared.
Yeah,
They want to
yeah.
take credit for it. So because the problem with the video game industry and other industries is it has a great belief in the author, this one figurehead that will create the game from like, I don't know, fairy dust and chicken piss. I don't know. And they do it. It's this sole adventure that they alone did, but that's not the case. A lot of games and everything else are made by a team of people, and
Yes.
we need to and giving these people residuals from their work that they made and not taking them out of the credits when they leave the company is a fair idea kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of industries and the video game industry itself is coming down for this reckoning of like, I'm sorry guys, but you're gonna have to give credit to the people who actually work for you and
Yeah.
not for the people sitting at the top of the tree saying, I made this.
And they need unions, and they need lots of unions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because game related voice actors, they have a good luck when they're lucky when they're able to join SAG-AFTRA, because not everyone can join that union.
Yeah, and apparently
That's-
their union wages aren't much better.
No.
Yeah, that's true, and they had a major strike in 2016 because I remember how Ashley Birch, who is a member of SAG-AFTRA, was like rejecting a lot of different game jobs because she was on strike, and a
Yeah.
lot of writers, a lot of actors that were unionized in SAG-AFTRA were uh, on strike in 2016. But then, unfortunately, the company seemed to be holding very strong against the strike, and in the end, it just fizzled out. They gotten some session dependent bonuses, but everything else was just given up. So it might be that the companies just decided that those strikes and those unions don't really do much, so
Yeah.
they can just do whatever they please with their minions. And those people absolutely deserve to create a lot of unions for developers, for voice actors, for artists, for all the people who are working in the industry.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they need to unionize. I think it's kind of covering a lot of the Hell and Tail situation. Unfortunately, this just kind of clouded the waters in that discussion because now, anytime there's disputes between a employee and a company, this is giving credence to the company to say, "Well, you can't trust what they say." You know,
Which we're going to
Wh-
go on to our
which
next topic.
with our
But
next topic, which Lemming will talk about. I'm going to quickly side jump. Also, Tommy Tallarico is another topic for another day. I swear, if he could take credit for the act of breathing, he would. Anyway, I'm moving on, Lemming.
Yes, in 2020, roughly, uh, uh, Doom Eternal released to much acclaim. I
Yes.
personally didn't like the difficulty curve in it, but it's a very well-made game. But the soundtrack was also released, and fans of the previous Doom soundtrack immediately noticed, wait a minute, this sounds like shit.
Yes, I remember seeing. Seeing screenshots of the audio kind of I don't know what they are the wavelengths, and it was just like a block,
Yeah,
big
it
block of
was
sound, and
absolute arse.
yeah, basically for audio layman like myself, they're not supposed to look like that. It's not supposed
No.
to. There's supposed to be lots of jaggy bits and sometimes some small jaggy bits, but not like a big block. It's not supposed to look like a cuboid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
keeping in
that
mind that
yeah that
the person we're about to speak about, one Mick Gordon,
hmm
did the soundtrack, has done a number of soundtracks. He did the soundtrack to Doom 2016, which was highly regarded as an amazing piece of audio work in general, not just a video game soundtrack, but a good musical writing in general.
hmm
And if you look at some of the waveforms for that, he managed to put
Oh yeah,
pentagrams
there's a
in the
666
waveforms.
somewhere as well, isn't there?
Yeah, he managed to write actual symbolism into the waveforms of his music. And then this comes out, and everyone's like, did Mick really make this? No,
Yeah, it's
no, he
just like,
didn't.
what? Yeah,
Because
spoiler
it
alert,
turned
he
out
didn't.
he was getting properly done over by Bethesda and management. And it was recently revealed, Bethesda finally made a statement on it, basically backing the dudes who were messing him over, Marty, Chad, and the id Software team, saying that Mick was talking bullshit. I'll read it out himself. The Bethesda post said, the recent post by Mick Gordon both mischaracterized and misrepresented the team at id Software, the development of Doom Eternal, Marty Stratton, and Chad Mossholder, with a one-sided and unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. We are aware of all the details and history of this matter and unequivocally support Marty, Chad, and the team at id Software. I will interject to say that Mick Gordon posted a 1 hour reading time document putting
Yeah.
everything out there.
Everything. Now, can I just
With receipts.
can I make a comment here on that? Yeah, with evidence to back it up. It's like okay, well that makes sense. Mick has come out and made a big statement about this, making this whole public stink about it. It's not like some other person's made a public statement about this prior to it, and thus Bethesda are right to say that this is abhorrent that this is made there. Is that right, Lemming?
Something like that.
Oh dear, it would be such a shame if one of their if one of their staff has already posted something on Reddit. That would be
That'd be
Yeah,
that'd be inconvenient.
that'd be awkward.
Yeah,
Post
it'd be
made by a
awkward if they
member of
could
staff.
ask you about it and
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that Reddit post. I don't know if it's still there, but it
think
did
it-
kind of fuck over their entire argument.
Yeah, because I think it was 3 years. 2019, I think he posted it, didn't he?
No,
'Cause
May
I think-
2020. Marty Stratton released a statement on Reddit. This is taken from Wikipedia, by the way, but I can also
Oh, yeah.
follow up the Reddit statement saying that Gordon was given extensive time to mix the tracks. Basically, Marty Stratton outlined the whole problem, basically throwing Mick clearly under the bus and blaming Mick for all the problems, which I will point out, he presents no tenable evidence other than his perspective, while Mick's entire argument, which he posted at a later time, nearly 2.5 years later, with evidence to back it up.
Yep, there's receipts, there's metadata from the tracks that he got from. I mean, there's metadata in track songs. There's a fucking contract. He's literally got a fucking contract. And if anybody knows anything about legal stuff, you can't fake a fucking contract when
Nope.
it was given to him, because if it's fake, and if he's faked the date, then Bethesda could just kick him into the next millennium.
Yeah. And the basis of this entire issue was the fact that he was being expected to write music for levels that weren't even made yet.
Yeah, he did. Like, Mick Gordon did the one most terrible thing that he could have ever done. He went to Marty Stratton and he said, I think you might need to these plans you have for development. I don't think it's going to work. I think you're going to need to delay a little bit longer. Here's some advice about how you could do that. And then Marty just had basically just shat his pants and was very mad about it.
No, we can't do that.
There's a lot to go through, so we highly recommend that you read the article by Mick himself and take it away. It is an hour. I don't think it'll take me.
It is an hour read.
It's an hour read.
It is a long read, but it's
one hell of a read.
It is
Yeah.
fully detailed.
Yeah, considering his opening line was, they pay, they used work that they haven't paid me for. Considering that's his opening salvo, it's
So to break it down, they use double the amount of runtime music that they paid him for. Which, bear in mind, he's paid for the time of the music that's in there. So, for example, if you record 6 hours worth of music, but you double that and use that twice, that's actually 12 hours of music that you need to be paid for.
Basically, he was submitting tracks for levels, and then we're going, no, we can't use this. Make another one. He would then go and change up the music, try something new, do something to fit the theme that he was going for, and submit that, and they would accept that, and then they would still use the stuff he accepted earlier.
Yeah, and also provide no guidance originally from what to do, what the standpoint. And what's worse is they announced the collector's edition that would feature the soundtrack with his name on it. They use his name as a marketing strategy. He had not been contracted to make the OST.
Nope.
And he was only contracted near the last minute.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, this was announced, I think, if memory serves, November, it was, or sometime around there is when it was announced. Or maybe before that, might have been June, special. I think it was E3, and they announced that the soundtrack collector's edition. He then tried to get in contact with them to discuss this about. He didn't get in contact with anyone until January. Didn't have a contract until March. This thing was released in April.
Considering the only way, and the thing is, he only got into contact with somebody when he went over Marty's head to Bethesda.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, and it is the opinion of this Denser that the level of, quite frankly, sheer incompetence on Marty Stratton and id Software's part is incalculable. It's almost reason you can't make this shit up. It's almost
but what's even worse is the fact that their publisher, Bethesda, has doubled down and backed the corporate.
Yeah. I mean, any other time I would be astounded at their protectiveness of the employee, but considering Marty Stratton started this, I would have half expected Bethesda to throw him under the bus, but for some reason, like they're sticking with him.
Now, anyone who go on, Shadow.
I was going to say, like, the thing that really bothers me about the statement that Bethesda put out about this, because of course, they put out a statement after Mick released like an hour long like read, was that, oh yeah, we have evidence to prove our story, but we won't show it until the most appropriate venue, which I presume is court. And it's like, well, if you've got the evidence, why don't you fucking show it? If
Yeah.
you've got if you think you're in the right, mate, like, stop pulling punches. Just throw. You're Bethesda. You've got a lot of money.
It is the comment. It is the opinion of this Denser that Bethesda have shit all and are attempting to sway to win in the court of public opinion over this whole situation in hopes that Mick Gordon will accept the settlement they've offered, which I will point out, they have offered Mick a sum of a six-figure sum.
To shut the fuck up.
To shut up, never mention about this, and also to take the blame. Mick has denied this because he thinks that it is an affront to the truth. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
And as far as I can tell, Mick is a man of, tenacity and opinion. So
And work
thing is,
ethics.
he was negotiating with them to the point where he was like, okay, I don't need any money. I just want you to take the Reddit post down. If I could just have the Reddit post down, that's enough. And Bethesda was just like, no, we can't do that. And it's just
no.
They were offering pretty much everything except for an apology from Marty and to take the Reddit post down. And it's quite frankly abysmal behavior. And to be fair, I actually say props to Mick Gordon for kind of exposing this kind of shady thing, because
he's at least defanged the NDA now.
Yeah,
it's already out there.
Yeah,
you can't gag me now.
It's one of those things that they can't. Yeah, they can't. He can't be shut up now. This is now out there, and what's more is this looks terrible for Bethesda, to basically be like, okay, we want to distort the truth in the eyes of the people. That is whenever a company gets into the question of we want to change the truth and what that means, that's when things get like, you're getting into really dicey territory here. In my opinion, because you're taking what is facts and changing them to suit your own goal. Now, has that happened to history? Absolutely. For the right or wrong. Now, but for corporations to be doing that when they're also coming up with this big idea like, we're the friendly people, we make all the games you love. No, it's entirely shitty. And if Bethesda had come out and say, do you know what, this entire thing is shit, you're right, we'll take that Reddit post down, Marty must apologize, out the door, they would have earned potentially a bit more of my respect back, but they haven't doubled down.
That's probably one of the most bonkers things to me in all this. How did they calculate that Marty Stratton is worth all that?
Exactly.
They're like having his back for way longer than it's financially viable. Financially reasonable.
Yeah, if I had figured out that one of my managers had done that, like gone onto Reddit and caused all this shit, he will be out the door. I would be furious.
Most contracts.
This company, what the fuck?
Exactly. Even I'm a base level worker for my company, and there's a stipulation in my contract that we are not to, publicly discredit the company.
Yeah, anyone with any ethics would be incandescent of that.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I think the thing that Bethesda is banking on is that they know we don't know this. We don't know if they knowingly sold the Doom OST without Marty having Mick having a contract. Because if they know, and there's evidence that they knew that he didn't have a contract, that's against EU law, motherfuckers. And they know that. They know they could get into so much fucking trouble. So I think the main sort of reason they're doing this is, I don't know why they're defending Marty, but I think the part of them is like, we cannot allow them, because there was the stuff, because I think it was mentioned in Mick's thing that when a lot of this was going on, Bethesda was having all the Fallout 76 stuff as well with the canvas bag and everything
Yeah.
else. So they were having
Yeah.
numerous things, and the
The
one thing they
founders
didn't want
kits and such.
was another thing. But the problem is, you kind of did, man.
Can you
So
Yeah.
imagine?
they're doing everything in their power to not like allow a lawsuit to get its foot in the door.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the more they do this, it's a little bit like the Streisand effect. Like, the more they try to shut Mick up, the more people are like,
Hang on.
fuck?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's
What was that again?
crazy.
Let's say that again.
And
Yeah.
I've seen this. I've seen this already on Twitter. Like, I know Twitter's, Twitter's Twitter. But people saying, well, look at what the hell I'm saying situation. People believe that, and look how that turned out. People, and they're banking on that. They're banking on people looking at that and saying, well, you can't trust Mick because Helen Taylor lied, so therefore Mick might be lying. And I'm like sitting there thinking, at least Mick has fucking evidence.
Yeah.
There's evidence there. There's also evidence from third parties talking about the crunch happening in the company at the time.
Oh, God,
There's
yeah.
verifiable evidence as to the situation in that company as he was trying to work. And if I was given that contract, like that sort of work scale, I don't know how to write music. I've never done it. I'm not very good at that sort of thing creatively. But he already had experience with the original Doom soundtrack. That went well. What the fuck happened where they suddenly turned tail and went, actually, this is how we're going to do it now. You need to creatively write music for levels you haven't even seen.
Yeah, I think it was a case of somebody made a very lovely spreadsheet of how a time management spreadsheet. They made a very lovely time management spreadsheet. Unfortunately, game dev and life does not work to your lovely little spreadsheets. And as soon as everything start going to pot, some tiny Dick Marty was like, I must get control, and in order to get control, I'm going to kick the knee in of anybody who tells me I might be doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately happened to be Mick.
Yeah. Also, as someone who has worked in projects
Allegedly, Marty has a tiny dick, but I think he does.
Can I just go on to a good example of writing music for a video game?
Sure.
Of course.
Of the actual developers giving space for the writer.
Please do.
Ace Combat 7.
Yes.
I will never stop talking about this game because I adore it. And there is one track on the soundtrack which is basically a pinnacle moment later on in the game. It's a track called Daredevil. They gave the musical writer for that game, Keiki Kobayashi, they delayed the game by a month so he could finish that one track.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing is, because production works very differently depending on what you work at. But if you remember, how movies scored, more often than not, and a composer will see the dailies, and they'll be given direction by the director of how the scene is supposed to go, and from there they then start kind of composing and working up.
Because the best movie soundtracks are the one where you can just listen to the soundtrack, and if you know the movie, you can tell what's happening in that scene. Some really good How to Train Your Dragon is one that I like to do. The first movie. There's one soundtrack called Test Drive where it's the first flight that Hiccup has on Toothless, and if you listen to it, you can hear you know what's going on in the scene. Like you don't need the visuals playing to know what the hell's going on. You know the bit where they mess up and Toothless where they start falling, and then Hiccup manages to get back onto Toothless back, and he loses his thing, so he has to do it from instinct alone, and then the music swells, and it's just it's so
and it's
good.
The same. It's exactly the same with this track. Daredevil is specifically written for the moments that happen during this level, and the game was supposed to release on December 3rd. It released December 30th. They waited 27 days for the composer to finish this one track before they gave the green light and released this game.
And yeah,
Amazing.
we are right, because like when you say that about how you should train your dragons, Shadow, I think of Star Wars. I can visualize the entire the film whenever I hear the soundtrack, and when I'm out, I could just think about the film and I can hear the music as well
Yeah.
as I think. And that's the thing, is that music is, people often don't kind of take for granted the fact that there's stuff like music and voice acting and things in their video games, when the music is supposed to make you feel something and connect with the game, and you're supposed to then have those memories where when you hear that music again, you're like, oh, I remember when I was in that part of
Yeah.
that game. And it's
Yeah, I think video game music itself is an art, like in and of itself, because the thing with video game music is like I want you to feel the specific emotion, but I don't want to distract you, kind of thing, because of course a player is doing things at the same time.
Yeah.
So especially if you're, trying to solve a puzzle, or if you're just like wandering around the world, you want music there, but you don't want it to distract you, kind of thing. So so a lot of people have video game soundtracks like in their library for when they're studying or reading or just doing things in the background, because that's what it's designed for.
Let's pump the brakes. This, I think video game music could be a topic we could discuss in deep and on time.
Right.
100%.
At that topic list, video game music.
It is one of the most important art pieces in video gaming, in my opinion, and we should discuss it.
Let's move on to the next. There we go. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that, especially that video game music also has to fit very well the way of narration in a video game, which is a narration by doing things, which is a narration that emerges from the game. So it has to fit that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna also do a very brief kind of thing where not really use like but like talking about a game I played this month.
Please do.
Better or worse.
Yeah.
Pokemon Violet came
Oh,
out.
here we go. Here we go. Pokemon violence.
For a crazy second, I thought you were gonna say Pokemon violence.
I woke up and chose violence. Okay, so I'm a big Pokemon fan. I don't know if anyone realized. Last year, with the help of Shadow, Burr, and a few others, I managed to acquire a living Dex. So I basically, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's where I have one of every single Pokemon in my Pokemon home. It's a quite an achievement. And there's a caveat to that, like I've not got all the variants, but to be fair, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's close enough. It's close enough for me. I'm a big Pokemon fan. I really did enjoy playing Sword and Shield, and I enjoyed playing Arceus. So I was excited for Violet and Scarlet and Violet, whatever. But unfortunately, the game runs like absolute shit.
Yeah, it runs like arse.
It runs like fucking arse. And it's one of those 4 things where if a game runs like arse, at least I can say, I look at it and say, well, it's pretty. I don't even look
Not
pretty.
even pretty.
No.
You know, it's
not even good.
Not even good.
Oh,
It's ugly, buggy.
It's ugly, buggy, and slow. That's what it is.
yeah, at least, like people complained about Sword and Shield not looking great, but at least that ran.
It ran.
At least
Yeah,
that fucking ran.
Yeah.
it ran.
Also,
From what
it is a crying shame that this game is in such a state, because all the people who thrashed through it and finished the game are praising the plot, are praising the
apparently it's really
characters.
good.
Yeah, apparently it's really good. It's really good. And that's the thing. There are elements like I'm only like in the start. And to be fair, the game's not really giving me a lot of drive to play it. If I'm honest, I've been trying to find the willpower to play more of it. If I'm
honestly, I've been watching our friend Weird play it, and he's
suffering.
he's kind of like he's excited at points, but there are moments where he's just genuinely demoralized by it, and it's like so sad.
There is the specter of a good game underneath there. There's some problems in there. First of all, there, aside from the technical issues, there's design problems, like the fact that you can't tackle any gym in any order. When they were doing the whole press junket, they said you could do anything, do whatever you want. The idea that they were trying to get across, which they failed to convey, in my opinion, was there's three kind of routes. There's the gym leagues. There's the Titan Pokemon, and then there's the Star Team Star. You can basically, the idea is you can tackle each one of those in any order. So, but you have to do all three and then get to the next kind of bunch of them, as it were. Which to me is kind of it. If you're going to give me the freedom of an open world, why are you limiting my choices here?
It's skating it's skating but in a different hat. Really.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I can see what people might say. Like, I don't think people saying that the game should have level caps and level lists and level integration and such. I don't think that would work for the overworld, and I think I agree with people on that. But that's no excuse why the gyms couldn't be. You know, especially since there's often that, you know, the first trainer you often come up against a gym, you usually got one or two, two or three Pokemon. Imagine if you face them last and they've got like a full team of 6 at like a higher level now. It'd be so fascinating to be able to be like, to kind of, it was like a thought experiment. Like, well, what if I face this gym leader at this point? And then
Speedrunners would have a field day.
then it's like, okay, what's the most optimal route?
Yeah.
Because while we could do it in order, maybe if you have a certain amount of certain Pokemon and you do it by going to the gyms that's kind of all around, maybe that's faster. You know, speedrunners had a field day with that, and I love that idea. But they just there's the specter of a good game somewhere deep behind a buggy mess that is the fault of a corporation and its desire for more money and content.
Can I just budge in and just point out one thing I've been hearing. I don't have the. I'm not a big Pokemon game player myself. I'm a fan of the franchise.
That gives you a unique perspective on it. So please do.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at all these people on socials and wherever, basically saying that, oh yeah, this is just proof that the Switch needs an update. We need a new Switch already, Switch 2. And I'm just sitting there going,
No.
are you serious?
No.
I would say, look, I'm not going to say the Switch isn't an issue. But I'm not going to say that is the only issue. I think if we're going to split hairs, like if we're going to argue, could the Switch be more powerful? Yes, it could be. We are probably in need of a new Switch.
But that's not the main issue.
But that's not the main issue.
Exactly.
It's an 80-20 split. 20% maybe the Switch's issue, but most of it is the development problem.
Exactly. Even if there is an issue with the hardware, that hardware is proven. It runs Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it runs Doom. Breath of the Wild.
You have a handheld console that runs Doom 2016.
Yeah. It runs Witcher 3 in an open world game. It doesn't look as good as on PC or PS5 or PS4.
If that's
even.
possible and your game runs like arse, that's entirely on development.
Because the game is optimized. That's the thing. People showed
because they have time to make more out of the Switch's hardware.
People showed that you can actually emulate Scarlet and Violet, and it runs 60 frames per second. But that's because you've got an overachieving. You've now basically put a supercomputer in control of that game, and suddenly it's got a lot more hardware to work with that is overcompensating for the lack of optimization.
If I may, the problem is, even if we get Switch 2 or Switch 3 even, if you don't have much time, if you have like a year or let's say 15 months, probably they had much less. You don't have time to test, to optimize. You will still make a game that will kill that hardware.
Wasn't there? I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, it ran like fucking ass on some computers. Do you know why it ran like fucking ass? Because they hadn't got time. They hadn't got time to optimize it. There was no time to they were trying to get the game together. That's what the poor bastards were doing. They didn't have time to make it run well.
Yeah, and they were only testing in the high-end PCs. So on PS4s, on Xboxes One, on low-end PCs, it ran like crap, and it looked like crap.
Getting back to my problem, I think the entire issue mainly stems from the fact it stems from the Pokemon Company, which is itself a division of. It's not a division of Nintendo. It's a separate company, but it's. the Pokemon Company needs a new generation every so often because it needs to make plushies. It needs to make content for the anime. It needs to make cards for its card game. It is beholden on the fact that it's the machine needs some new cogs in it. And unfortunately, every so often they say, "Well, we need a new cog," even if the people aren't ready for it. It's like, well, that cog's got to be ready by that time, you know. And that's the problem. The developers don't have the time to develop because they are stuck in this rigid structure of needing this game to provide content.
Yeah, it's not a death march as it is, but it is a march that it will pull to death, because I think this is the first time the the mask has slipped on a Pokemon game, and we can see that it just did not have enough time, because a lot of the other times, like the Pokemon games have been fairly linear games, and this Arceus has been the first open world, but I think that's been the first time it's gotten the time. Like, maybe not as much time as it ever needed, but it's got enough. But Scarlet and Violet have definitely been it's not it I won't say they've been rushed, but it's definitely been half baked kind of thing.
Yeah, half baked.
They've come out. It's not had the time in the oven it needs, and I think the problem is that open world is a very good thing for Pokemon. Like, it is the next jump the series is needed. But the problem is open world games need time. They need time. They need effort. They need bug testing, and the Pokemon Company just does not give. Like, Pokemon Company Game Freak does not give their developers enough time to give people the product they deserve. And I think the time is now that there are a lot of Pokemon competitors in the market now for the PC, showing Game Freak what can be done with enough time and enough dev effort. And now Game Freak is running up against these competitors, and they are in the market in a more crowded market than they were, and people are expecting more, and they are not delivering it now, and people are now getting cross. And
yeah,
I like.
Because there's a general consensus that they can shove out the door and it will just sell.
Yeah, and I think it's really.
Unfortunately, it still works, but hopefully not for long.
Yeah, and I must admit, when Sword and Shield came out, I really loved the game. I love Sword and Shield. I will battle down to the hilt for it. And I remember lots of people going, "Oh, it's ugly. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, it da 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 da." I remember so much fucking complaints, and everybody just going, "Oh, but I expected more. This is shit," kind of thing. And I just remember thinking, "Come on, guys, it's fine." But now I look at Scarlet and Violet, and I'm like, yeah, we deserve more. What the fuck? Like, 60 quid for a game that 60 quid for a game that looks that could look better and runs like fucking shit. And of course, it's a Nintendo game, so don't expect that to go on sale.
No.
So enjoy 60 quid, guys, for the rest of its dev cycle. Great, thanks.
I will never call a developer lazy, because in my opinion, it's an insult to call a developer lazy. There's no such thing as lazy
doubt that they were lazy. I think they were working at 110%.
They weren't lazy. What I will always say about Game Freak and all the Pokemon Company, I use the two interchangeably, is they are complacent.
Yes.
They believe they don't want to spend money on voice acting because that's money that's spent they could spend on earnings. They don't want to spend money.
Take time.
And it would take time. They don't want to spend too much time on the bug testing. Still take time. They don't want to give 6 years worth of development, double the time which this game has got. If we count the very second they finished, if we count from the very second they finished Sword and Shield to when they released Scarlet and Violet, they had 3 years, no more, no less.
Yeah, it's my theory that they were working on Arceus and Scarlet and Violet at the exact same time.
Yeah, and that is not a lot of time for an open world game. Games these years require a lot more time in development, and I'm just going to say it, that the Pokemon Company are complacent. They believe that it doesn't matter what they can produce, they can, as long as it's a fairly alright quality, they can shove out the door and it'll sell. And to be fair, there is an element of that, but the problem is they're going to start getting, I think this is the point where people are going to start getting wise to that.
Yeah, because they have been complacent for a very long period of time, because Pokemon has been the only like, I'm not going to say the only creature collecting game. It's been the main competitor though. You've had Digimon on Sony consoles and stuff like that, but Pokemon has been the big kahuna in all of this, like the real big mofo that everybody's wanted to emulate and stuff like that. but it's only been of recent times that other creature collecting games, especially on the PC, which has been begging and begging for like a creature collecting MMO, an MMO, a creature collecting game as is. But now people have entered. People have entered the sphere. You've had Temtem, which I have my issues with, but they're a fair competitor. You've had Temtem. There's I think it's not Monster Hunter. It's Monster Tamer or something. I have it. It's an indie game that I have on my Steam wish list, and you have lots of other creature collecting games that ain't Pokemon, but they've moved into the space. And the thing is, they've had the time to innovate. They've had the time to do other things. They've gone, okay, we'll try this mechanic and that mechanic over there. And Pokemon Company's just been sitting on its laurels because it's not had any competition in its space for so long.
It's lacked genuine competition. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and now people have, they've been indulged with all these other competitors, and they look at the Pokemon games now and they go, wait, you mean we have to go to the Pokemon Center to go to a box? What? We mean you can't access it like in the field? What do you mean we've got this that? What do you mean we have to wait until we get a hidden move and then beat the gym leader in order to fly? To quick travel. Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to do this kind of thing?
Yeah,
And
in an era where indie developers are capable of doing so much with so little, people are starting to look at Pokemon games and going, "Is this it?"
Yeah, exactly. People,
Yeah.
I think, as I said, I think Scarlet and Violet is where the mask is dropped. Is coming away
Yeah.
now. People are seeing
Okay.
the guts underneath and going,
I fear that the Pokemon Company still will run for a long time on just the brand itself, because those are Pokemon.
oh,
Everyone
oh
knows Pokemon.
yeah, but
But
the thing is, they do pay attention to social media, and we'll see.
Lemming,
Yeah,
you
really
said
helpful.
something there that made me think, and I don't want to talk down to indie developers because
no.
indie games are great, but you just hit upon the exact feeling which I just had, and and it just made me realize something. When I played Pokemon Violet, I felt like I was playing an indie game.
Oh yes,
I felt like I was
yes.
playing an unpolished indie game that's a labor of love
Yeah.
and not made to be a AAA title sold at a AAA price by a AAA multi-million dollar company.
No, but you're totally right. I just thought about it. The 3 different paths, all the things that you have to do. The pathfinding sucks. It's like an early access title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean,
To the point where they're always saying they're going to have to patch it. It's like, hang on.
yeah.
I
And,
mean, I haven't bought it. This is the first Pokemon game I haven't bought on near or at release.
I mean,
I too-
it bears noting
go on.
that a lot of consoles these days, and even PC games, require a lot of day one patches.
oh, by the way,
this-
Scarlet and Violet had a day 1 patch, so it was.
Oh,
this
yeah.
from the beginning.
There was a whole thing of, in my mentally, I'm thinking of this as it's a Nintendo thing. They always ship their games ready to use and don't need a patch.
That's
know,
what used to
they're
happen.
cartridge based. They still
Yeah.
use a cartridge. So why would you develop a game that requires multiple patches on this sort of system?
It's not just that. It's the point I'm trying to make is that I'm playing what is supposed to be a AAA flagship title of Nintendo, and it doesn't
60 quid.
for 60 quid, and it does not feel like a AAA flagship title. It feels like
Yeah.
an indie game. And that's not the feeling I should be feeling. And again, not me ragging on indie games. There are great indie games out there. But the thing is, indie comes with a certain level of expectation where you're going to expect some rough edges. You're going to expect some bugs now and again. And also, you're fine with that because usually you're paying like a 10 or 15 quid for the game.
Yes. Not 60.
Not 60. And
I wouldn't. Yeah, I am honestly so glad I didn't buy it, because if I'd spent 60 quid for what I've seen EBAT playing, I would.
I had two
No.
choices. I was either going to get Sonic Frontiers or Pokemon Violet. I bought Pokemon Violet, and to be quite frank, when I'm looking back upon it, I'm wishing I got Frontiers.
Yeah, because at least Frontiers runs at decent frame rate.
Yeah.
Yes, it's buggy. Yeah, yes, Frontiers is also buggy, but at least it works.
At least it works. Yeah, that's the thing. And that is the sad thing. And again, I think that is the key crux of my argument. This is supposed to be a flagship AAA title. And I feel like I'm playing an indie game, and that's not how I should be feeling.
Yeah.
Let's finish off the news segment with something a bit more positive with Shadows news.
Yay! Yes. Yes. So of recent, as in 9 days ago of this article, some a Twitter user basically with Twitter having a bad time because somebody by the name of
Reasons.
somebody by the name of Elon Muskrat. I don't know who this person is.
A musky husky.
Yeah. This guy called Elon Musk.
Some
I
dude,
don't know. I
yeah.
don't know who he is. Yeah, he's decided he wants to break Twitter. So now Twitter's breaking. A person on Twitter basically post this tweet to devs, saying, now that Twitter is actually going to die, you legally need to admit your game dev sins. And basically, and a load of replies came in, and apparently, a lot of people have hidden the meme loss in a lot of their games from somebody who actually put the lost meme on the side of an alligator in the game Maneater. It's so quick you can never see it. It's just some scratches on the side of an alligator that's the lost meme.
Oh, boy.
And somebody so like there was a bug in there was a bug in Witcher 3 in which if Triss did a 180 turn, her boobs would jiggle for 15 seconds. And one of the devs fixed that because that's not how boobs work. I'm sorry to say, people. That's not how they work. And somebody revealed in, I think it's Fallout 3, the Metro car doesn't work like a car. It's actually attached to an NPC's head, and the NPC runs along
Yes.
to give the
Oh.
impression that it is an actual moving Metro.
Or how about the fact that in the Outer Wilds, the universe moves around the player?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And
That's not as much of a sin. That's a really nifty design technique.
yeah, in the game Outriders, in the prologue mission, the forest catches fire. Apparently, they didn't have a procedural fire system then, so the designer scripted about 600 plants to individually catch fire.
Oh my god.
Fucking
That would
hell.
be. Wouldn't it be faster just to write the fucking procedural file system?
There is one thing that I really love about those, because once in a while, once every couple of years, there is a thread like that on Twitter where a lot of devs join in and share sins, and
Yeah,
it turns out the sins never run out; they never repeat. It's always a new batch.
Yes, that's why I've had it as like the news thing, because it's just funny stuff,
It's-
and it's more lighthearted.
It also gives a great look behind the curtain, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember articles about how doors are like the worst, like
Worst
doors
things
and
ever.
ladders are one of the worst things that they hate. They just hate
Yeah.
doors.
Yeah.
Apparently there is a level in Super Meat Boy that has a fully playable lost level in there. Can anybody find out which one? I sure don't. But
I mean,
and as this I'll link the PC Gamer article so you can go and have a look-see in the tweet thread yourself. At the bottom it says, "Not all are without sin, however. May the Lord find it in his heart to forgive the monster who admitted, I worked on Bubsy 3D."
Ooh,
oh boy.
that's an admittance right there.
Oof.
You were going to say something, Bo?
Well, I just wanted to add a few examples of those crazy ideas that people had for design, like the scary creature in a BT, which is constantly hovering behind you, but you can never see it unless the script needs it. Then it will disappear from behind you and move to the right part of a scene, but otherwise it'll just constantly hover behind you, but you'll never see it because it rotates when you rotate, so you'll never never look behind you.
Yes.
Or when there are some of the animations in Overwatch, for example, when Cole Cassidy, formerly known as a horrible Blizzard employee, is rolling on the floor to have some iframes and avoid things. In it has two different animations. One that he really does, where his head just lowers down and then goes back up to where his head should be, because that's how they animated the rolling from your perspective, from the first perspective. And then for the same move, the animation that the other player sees just displayed as the animation of rolling on the ground.
There's also somebody has hid a banana texture in the texture of every model they've worked on. Every single one.
Nice.
So there's a banana in the texture of there might be a banana in the texture of some of the characters in Overwatch.
Fair enough.
Have a banana.
Have a
And somebody-
banana.
Perfect.
and somebody admitted, in my first 3D game, I didn't get physics at all, so I locked the player's Y position to keep it from bugging out. When I added more floors to move between them, I made an elevator. The elevator, of course, moved the entire world up and down.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah,
also
that'll
admits,
happen.
on a game I QA'd a while back, I didn't report a bug because I knew speedrunners would love it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's one of the dirty secrets of the IT and game dev in particular. If it's stupid and horrible but it works, you keep it, and it's not stupid and horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it doesn't break your game, but it allows you to skip
Yeah.
something, and also it's like very difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
People generally keep that because one, who the fuck's
Yeah.
gonna run into that bug? Two, speedrunners will love it. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the developers behind the first Portal game, for example, during testing, found loads of exploits that they tested, game testers were finding, and they were like, "Is that one game breaking? Okay, we'll get rid of that one. Is that one fun and quirky that you noticed? Cool, we're keeping that one."
Yeah.
And there's a plethora of cool little, speedrunning strats from that even I found.
yes,
Oh
Shannon?
wow. Yeah, Lars, I cannot pronounce this person's name, so I'm gonna have to apologize in advance. But Lars Bundad Amont said, "Not quite game dev sin. Ever since we found out that our printer uploads user data, including file names from our 3D printer at the office, we've added _dildo to all our file names. So somebody at Full House probably thinks our company's a lot more fun than it actually is."
Yes.
Oh
Perfect.
god. But no, we'll talk about speed running at some point because I would like to kind of have a talk about that.
Yeah.
For now, I think we should kind of wrap up the news segment and move on to our topic of the day, which actually is going to be run by our very own Bear, of all people.
He's
Yeah, 'cause I-
yeah.
Yes, because I wanted to discuss with you guys about a few things that I have noticed over the years.
So what's the topic? What's the topic, man?
The topic is gaming literacy, and what can we do with it? What can we do about it?
Good question. Gaming literacy. So what do you mean by gaming literacy?
What I mean is, let's start with a preface. I was about 3 years ago. I was watching a video by a YouTuber by the name of Rasputin, who came up with an idea because his wife was watching him play various games, but never played any, and decided to play something. He decided to make it a sort of informal social experiment when he would expose her to all kinds of games that and see, without any prompts, without any help from his side, and see what really, like, how gaming looks like from perspective of someone who's never gamed before. So that when I was watching that, it got me thinking about the fact that most of the people that I know, including the three wonderful people that I'm now talking podcasts, have been playing games like ever since we were very, very small. Well, maybe except for like me because I started playing when I was 10. But I'm pretty sure
Cool enough.
you started your experiences with the video games much earlier than that. But most people like that I know have started much earlier, and we know pretty well what's a game, what a game isn't, and how to understand the game at the first few glances if it's not like overly complicated.
Hmm.
And that got me thinking about two things. One was when I'm spending time with my niece and nephew, they've like they've been playing games ever since they could touch a phone, and ever since I was left alone with them for any amount of time, because I would immediately like they weren't even 1 year old, and they were like sitting on my lap, and we were playing cut the rope or where's my water, which is both are really awesome mobile games, the only kind of games that I've ever played on mobile. And then I like started better gateway drugs like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons or some platformer
Oh
games.
dear.
Yeah, and now they are in a ripe old age of 9 and 11, and they are just blasting through games that I have horrible problems with, like Cuphead, like Hollow Knight, like Guacamelee. They just it's absolutely normal to them. They immediately recognize things in the games.
Hmm.
And then also I remember. Do you remember Dean Takahashi? He
Uh,
was he was a games journalist
yeah.
that was
Oh yeah.
reviewing Cuphead.
Oh yeah, he
Oh,
got
And
him.
yeah.
famously, he spent 15 minutes fighting the tutorial.
Infamously, I think is what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very infamously, which literally was everyone else was looking at it, but and
Mm,
saying, "Dude, the
yeah.
tutorial's telling you everything you need to know. What the hell?"
Yeah, this
And he
this
was.
guy is
Yeah.
also infamous for giving Mass Effect 1 a bad score
Yeah.
and not realizing he could assign talent points.
Yeah, that's true. This is what I mean. That's like games journalist who doesn't really understand how games work. Because also after the tutorial, he was playing Cuphead as if it was Mario, and he was getting more and more frustrated by the fact that the enemies don't die when he jumps on them. Even though you get
Oh
told
god.
that in the tutorial that you shoot things.
Oof.
So it got me thinking that a lot of things there are in the games that get very natural for people who play for a very long time, but I get very, very confusing for someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the thing
So
is about
yeah.
that one is you can put a lot
Mm.
of that down to willful ignorance.
Well, in case of D Takahashi, maybe, but also I was thinking about people who really never play, like our parents, for example,
Oh
or
Oh yeah.
you know, people's spouses who don't have time for games. They were always doing other things like reading or doing arts or
yeah.
sporting activities, and they've never really been exposed to games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
an example is my own father, who introduced me to games through DOS games back in the day, and he got me my Sega Mega Drive. He only likes the games he's always played. Command and Conquer
Mm.
Red Alert, Command and Conquer Tiberium Sun. He only likes those games because they're at a pace that he likes.
mhm,
Mm.
He knows how to
Yeah,
play them,
mm.
and any newer games he can't really grasp because they're too fast for him now.
yes.
In a way you're right, but I still this is part of this. He does know how RTSs
Oh
play.
yeah,
So
exactly.
when you give him a Grey Goo or some other modern RTS, like even the remastered Command and Conquer or
Which I
something,
did.
or StarCraft 2, he'll find himself pretty quickly in the interface, in what you do in the game. So he'll just exclaim and things like, "Holy shit! You can select more than one unit now," and things like
I,
that. But
we were like that when we got the first Command and Conquer back in 1995.
yeah, uh, it was
Yeah.
it was me with Warcraft, where you could select 4 units at a time, but
Just
it was
drag
still
it.
way better. Yeah, it was still way better than
Select
June,
multiple
where you
units
just
by clicking on the floor near
yeah.
them and dragging a box around.
Yes. That. Yeah.
I have played Age of Empires 2's tutorial far too many times. No, but
Yeah. But you know.
there is. Oh, sorry. Go on, Burr.
No, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's just you don't realize how many shorthands and how many things that we have um implicitly learnt until you try and explain it to somebody else. I think the easiest way for I think a gamer to get a little bit of that is to introduce somebody who doesn't play MMOs to the MMO language, because I think that's the closest sub language that gaming has that can be completely like impenetrable to other people.
Yes.
So I could,
Mm.
so I could say that, oh yeah, the warlock is a ranged DPS class, is a ranged DPS spell class that uses lots of dots and has many spells that require you to have LOS and stuff like that. You would go, what the fuck did you just say to me?
Oh,
There's
I'm
I-
sitting here going,
there's-
what the fuck did you
there's
just say?
LOS
Yeah.
and dots and hots and there's dots and hots and there's
I do
always
ha-
there's AOE, there's AOE, CC, and
Yeah.
all sorts. Like I could say something like, "Oh yeah, my hunter is a ranged DPS. She does about this. But she's not very good at AOE. She's more crit heavy. But when my thing procs, it does like." And everybody's like, "Did you just swear at me in Japanese or something?"
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because there's a lot of mechanics that get abbreviated and shortened. So hot is like heal over time, a dot is damage over time, which are and you've got buffs which are good things and debuffs that are bad things that happen to your character. AoE, area of effect, CC, crowd control. But crowd control, what is crowd control? And then you have to explain like, oh, it's something that disables an enemy or a mob for a certain period of time and stuff like that. And when you start explaining this language, because I could say, oh yeah, CC is when you take out a mob for a period of time where they can't act. You're like, what's a mob? And it's like, oh, a mob is an enemy unit or an enemy thing. And it's like, okay, and
There's a lot of explaining to
Yeah.
go
there's a
into
lot of
gaming.
There
explaining.
is a lot of us. I mean, if
But-
sorry.
But that's kind of like just language.
Yeah.
When you come
Yeah.
down to actually mechanics and stuff like that, like let's take the easiest example here: the controller. Like
Yeah.
for all of us, when we first get a control, when we get a controller, we know where to put our hands. We know what fingers and what digits are used for what thing. You give this to somebody who's never held a controller before, they'll hold it like that probably, a bit like, okay,
They usually hold it like
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
that
like
is,
they
yeah,
keep
that,
their hands off
that
because
definitely is one of the things. Yeah.
yeah, they don't want to touch
Yeah.
the buttons.
If,
But like one thing.
I think Burr's gonna get to the controller in a second.
yeah, if
Sorry,
I
go ahead,
if I
Bert.
if I may go with a controversial idea that I was thinking that I experimented on myself a long time ago, is that sort of the most intuitive controller for non-gamers was the Wiimote.
Yes,
Yes.
because it's literally just a
Yes.
remote.
It's a remote, something that people are already used to.
Yes.
And the other thing is you control by imitating movements, which is
Mhm.
something that you can really
It's
get very well used to. Kind of like what the controllers and like Knuckles and other controllers for VR are doing pretty well, because those games are also pretty easy to get into because they
Mhm.
are mostly trying to imitate what you actually see with your eyes.
Mm.
Mhm.
But I was a long time ago, like probably some 15 years ago, I was playing with my family in Wii Sports, and I was able to teach my parents and even my grandma, who was like 76 at the time, how to play bowling, how to play tennis, and then we had quite a lot of fun with that. And they got a grasp of that.
Mhm.
But all the other games, they're just. I remember my dad when I was like 10, he was playing Prince of Persia when there was a slower day at
Oh
work.
god.
but that was like the last game that I remember him playing ever. And I he sometimes watches me when I'm watching like Polish streams of Intel Masters at Katowice or some other local events. And like you said, there's a big problem when you're trying to explain the language to other people. With Polish, it's an even bigger problem because most of those words like AOE or LOS or DPS or baiting or aggro or such, they're not being translated to Polish equivalents. They're just people are just using them in English. So a sort of very weird amalgamation of English and Polish are being used on the streams where the whole structure of the language is Polish, except 90% of the words which are English and not even understood by regular people who just use English and don't play games. So whenever I'm listening to it, my dad would stop by, look at the screen, listen to it for a while, and ask, "Are they speaking English?" Well, like, no, Dad, they're speaking Polish. They're speaking gamer.
They are indeed
Yeah.
speaking game. Yeah, because it is
Yeah.
it is kind of like learning to drive in a way,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
when you first start on a controller, like I learned this when I
Yeah.
first got a Xbox 360, because I until then I'd been a Nintendo kid as long as I can
Mm.
remember. Now, slight problem with Xbox controller layouts and Nintendo control layouts. The X and
And
the A button are in
yeah.
completely different positions. Like
Yes.
it's flipped. And
Yeah.
so for a long time I would be hitting what I thought was the B button,
Mm.
but it would be the A button. It was not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was because I remember for the first time in a long time, I had to look down about what was in my hands and like, okay,
Yeah.
so that's that button, that's that button. But slowly over time, like I didn't even need to think about it. Like my thumb would just
Mm.
automatically go into the
Yeah.
position. Didn't need like an icon, like visual confirmation
Yeah.
where it needed to be.
Yeah. But
Just needed to feel kind of thing. And that's
but
kind of
it's
like with driving a
yeah.
car. Eventually,
Mm.
you
You
your brain
yeah.
your cerebellum takes over, and
Mm.
your
Yeah.
main cortex is needed to think.
But it still requires a bit of training, and
Mhm.
still I feel like a lot of the games recently are doing a better way of visually representing the buttons you have to press.
Yes, and I think
Mm.
that's
Mm.
I think that's if I may make like a wild theory here, I think that's because of better accessibility options.
Yes, that's well, yeah, and also because of the exchangeability of peripherals like controllers from different systems into different systems, where you can play an Xbox controller on a PS4, on a PS5, a PS5 controller on a PC controller on the Switch, etc. Then you have to represent it more visually. Like you show the four buttons and you mark which one to press so that people don't have to look, where the fuck is the X button? Oh, it's here. Then you can see it's the one at the bottom. So when you have your thumb in the middle, okay, I move the thumb down.
Which I'd argue is better because um, when you're sold press the B button, anyone who's not
Mm.
experienced will be like, okay, B.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
if you got the position, if they're smart and have the general layout of
Yeah.
putting the thing from the middle, they're like, okay, it's the one at the bottom, so it's that one. At
Yeah.
least I would imagine they'd do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that still needs to look,
Yes.
They
but
probably look, but they probably wouldn't need to
Well,
look as
yeah.
quick. They could be
Yeah,
able to do a
and also
passing
as often.
glance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
don't have to look as often. And they quickly realize that if I put my finger in this strategic position, I don't have to look down as often anymore.
Hmm.
We need the same thing also. We're starting to get that, but we need to have it better for the trigger and the bumper buttons because they're still confusing. They're still confusing me, let alone someone who doesn't play that much.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because
usually the shape is what gives them away for me. But
Yeah.
even then,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah,
I
but
still.
the
Sorry,
thing
go
is,
ahead.
I was gonna say, like most people have smartphones now, so they have like a little bit of knowledge about using their fingers to press buttons. But not a lot of people have the kind of innate knowledge to press triggers, like to curl their hands around
Yeah,
something,
true.
press things at the top. Like some people do. Like you do have buttons on the side
Yeah.
of phones that can take
Yeah.
photos, but not a lot of people have their fingers curled around the edges very often, like resting on
Yeah.
buttons. So I
This
think
is.
the triggers is just a little bit of the extra jump they that
Yeah.
that people need
This.
to take. But
This
it
is
does
something.
tend to come to you because they're usually in hopefully ergonomic
Mm,
positions where once your
yeah.
fingers like learn to rest there and pressing them becomes quite
Yeah.
easy. But you do
Mm,
have to realize that people have to learn to move those fingers in that
mm,
order. And because
Yeah.
we're so used to it, it's very hard to go back to the time of, oh, how
yeah.
was I when I started playing this thing? I
Yeah.
think,
This is.
yeah. Go on, Bert.
Oh, we're getting a raid.
Hey, we got a raid!
Whoa!
Crystal Cat, hello everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Yay!
Whoa!
Thank you.
Welcome to
Howdy,
Com-
howdy,
Hello.
howdy.
Welcome to the Combinants podcast.
Howdy.
We are currently discussing gaming literacy and what we can do about it, which
Yeah.
is
'Cause-
gone.
Yeah. Because I wanted to like put that into a sort of overarching idea that I was wondering whether we should have, if not for every game, then like for or maybe for every game and for gaming systems as well, tutorials and programs that would allow you to learn. Assume that you've never seen a video game before, and let you learn what you see on the screen, what is being shown to you. Because long time ago, as long as I probably the last time I've seen that was in 2005, there were books that were added to games. The last one I remember that
Oh,
had that
manuals?
for
God,
me,
yeah.
manuals, was like I think Mortal Kombat Deception 2005 was the last game where I've seen a book that would be explaining what you see on the screen. That this is the character that you're fighting with. This is your health bar. When you're getting beaten up, it depletes. This is the health bar of your enemy. It gets depleted when you beat him up. And things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas in most games you don't nowadays you don't get that because you don't get manuals.
Yeah, it's
Almost ever.
yeah, and there seems to be an assumption that
Mm,
you know that the red bar means health and the green bar or the blue
yeah.
bar means your
Mm,
magic or your endurance, stuff like that. And people who've never seen a video game before don't have a concept of this
yeah,
because
indeed.
it's because
That's
they,
the
they
thing.
they just don't.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at a HUD
Mm,
and they're gonna
yeah.
be like, I don't. What do all these things mean? Kind
Yeah.
of
I
thing.
was
Yeah.
I was also thinking about things like one of the best games on PS5, which is Astro's Playroom. Uh, I
Oh,
don't know. I feel like you might agree with me, El, that Astro's Playroom is absolutely amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah,
And
it's a great game.
I don't remember if it starts exactly with that, but I think it starts with explaining like this is a controller. You hold it like this. This is the D-pad. Those are analog sticks. Those are the bumpers. Those are the triggers. You put your index finger and your middle finger on them, and that kind of things. I would say every gaming system deserves something like that
I think so as well.
Yeah. And
because
another
yeah.
example for that is VR.
Yes.
Yes.
The Quest 2, which I have next to me,
Mm.
comes pre-packed with a piece of software that my father, who has never been in VR before, completely picked up the ropes from just, here's your controllers, this is what they do, here's a table full of stuff, enjoy.
Yeah, it's like you have this robot that you have to interact with. Like you give him stuff, he gives you stuff. You have to like throw a thing up. You have to hold a thing with two hands. You're being shown the ropes for just something that only requires a very small amount of holy shit, I forgot the word, abstraction. because
Yes.
everything is very intuitive because this is your hands. It's just the only abstract thing is that you're not using your hands per se, but you're holding those weird things. But everything else is just like your hands.
Yeah. I
Can
think.
I take a moment to just point out that it's kind of disappointing that the Quest 2 is the only modern piece of hardware that comes with something.
Yeah, it is disappointing.
Yeah.
It's very
Like
disappointing.
we used to get games with our consoles.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
you were gonna say Shadow.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember going to Res in Birmingham at one point, EGX Res, and that was the first. Like, I managed to get in line for they were showing off some Switch games, and I remember having to be somebody handing me a Switch Joy-Con, and I had to be quickly and briefly taught which way round I was holding it and where my fingers went on the buttons, because it was only one Joy-Con kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just a Mario Party thing, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, what? What am I
Yeah.
supposed to hold it like this, or what?
I'm not sure if they're explaining it in 1-2 Switch, but 1-2 Switch is something that you had to buy for your Switch.
Yeah, and it's still
No, it
premium
was a Mario
price.
Party game of some regard, I remember.
Yeah,
But
and you don't have any tutorial for how to hold your Switch controllers at all.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
it's just like
but
1-2 Switch is basically what should have been a packing title
Yeah.
to show you
Yes.
how the Switch controllers work.
yeah,
because even the Wii, did the Wii have a packing title?
No idea.
I don't.
I mean, it had
I'm
Wii
not sure.
Sports.
We had Wii
Yes.
Sports, and
Yeah.
I think you didn't have to buy Wii Sports. I think it just came.
Oh, it came with it. Yeah, it came
with-
packed.
Yeah.
with- yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, Kat, about them being 50-50, but in fairness, for games like that, they don't need to be good. They just need to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to be good
Yeah.
at teaching, but they don't need to be good games as is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's helpful if they are, but
Because
really there should be more
yeah.
teaching.
Yeah, because when if you're a gamer, you don't need that shit. You can just go out there and buy yourself games that you want for the system. But if this is your first approach to video games, if you've never seen a video game before you buy this particular piece of hardware, you need to be taught. You need to be explained things.
Yeah.
And
50-50 whether systems have one or more. Okay, that's fair.
yeah,
I apologize.
I mean, one thing I would recommend, because you Shadow said you'd suggest people getting into MMOs and seeing that aspect. I would say no. Take someone who's only played modern games, put them on an N64 or a PlayStation. The era where the right analog stick did not control the camera.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
could
God.
get if you want to know a game that doesn't if you're a
Yeah.
Sonic fan and you want to feel the pain that it was that we
Yeah.
had to control the camera with the right trigger buttons, play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Suffer.
Yeah. Also, if you want to hear a boomer story, when I finally had a PC at the old age of 16, I was raised on games like Doom and Heretic and
You couldn't
Hexen.
fucking look.
Yeah, and Duke Nukem 3D, where you did not look up or down. You did not use mouse. You were just
You had one view and you could
you're
turn
just
around.
rotating. You were a tank. You were rotating left and right. You could, if you remembered and you learned with shift, with alt, you could strafe to the sides, but there was no mouse look. And then came Quake 1 that had mouse look, and it was so hard to learn.
Oh god, yeah.
We're very
I think I played. I think I did. I play? No, I think I played Quake. I played Quake 1 without mouse look.
Yeah, I was trying to play Quake 1 without mouse look as well. Then when I started playing with
you could jump as well, but you had to kind of run towards the edge very fast.
Yeah. It was very hard to learn.
And back in those days, you didn't use WASD, you used the arrow keys.
Yes, you did use the arrow keys. Yes.
Can I give an alternative opinion?
Go
well,
on.
not opinion, an alternative
Right.
point of view. Going backwards.
Mm.
Going backwards from one era to another. For example, for the past few years, I've used a gaming PC. I am very much used to mouse and keyboard controls for first-person shooters. To the point now where I have bought a couple of first-person games for my Nintendo Switch to play as work, during my lunch breaks at work. I can't play them.
Yeah, you get so used to.
Mouse
Yeah.
and keyboard.
I physically
Yeah.
can't go
Mouse and
back
keyboard.
to the controllers for first-person shooters anymore. It feels weird. It feels bad. I can't physically do
Yeah.
it. I need to play side-scrollers or racing games. I
Mm.
can't do shooters anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never learned that trick. This is why I'm so very grateful for huge, gigantic accessibility options in God of War Ragnarok. Because otherwise, with all the shooting, with all the things that you have to control and be precise, I would never have finished that game. I would have been so frustrated.
Trying to play Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, having never learned to fly twin stick.
Yeah.
That's pain. That is so much pain, and it's on the GameCube, so
Mm.
you can't rebind any keys. So good luck.
Yeah, but I gotta say, when I was
Also,
like 10,
by the way, that was a launch title, and the GameCube was my first console. Can you imagine a little babby Shadow not only having to learn the GameCube controls, but also having to try to learn to fly twin stick? That ended so
Yeah.
poorly.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand
Okay.
flying twin stick.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Like,
yeah, no.
That's why I
pilots only
This-
have one stick.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
but
why I use keyboard and mouse because
yeah, but I have to tell you,
lazy.
with one stick, that was actually my first game controller because I started with an 8-bit microcomputer where you do have a joystick as your controller. You almost never use a keyboard because those games would usually use only like one fire button because they were very simple. The only games that would use more were like strategy games or simulators, and I was not able to understand the shit out of it because the screen was very small, everything was very symbolic, and everything was just those 2 pixels are a plane, and those 2 pixels are your ammo. Go,
Yeah.
go
Go
tiger.
nuts.
Go nuts.
Yeah, I think in fairness to Lemming, didn't you used to fly jets or something?
I mean, not jets, but I have flown aircraft.
Yeah. So in fairness to you, you know that there's
Yeah.
more than one stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is more than one stick, but the actual flight controls are literally just one stick.
Yeah, fair.
But you got the one stick, and then you've got a throttle, and you've also got foot pedals.
Yeah,
And gaming doesn't have foot pedals.
Oh god, yeah.
I would.
You have to
wouldn't-
pay through the nose to get your foot pedals. Oh.
I wouldn't be myself if I didn't add that the flight stick in a plane has a very thick shaft. But
Wow. So where else do you want
I'm more of a controls. I'm more of one of the Boeing ones where it's the flight control. The big I've forgotten what it's
Yeah.
called.
Chungus?
No.
the one that has a Kindle in the middle.
Yeah.
I'll remember it eventually.
So we kind of talked about how new gamers or people who don't have experience can be very intimidated by this, and how we take for granted how easy we pick up a controller and so familiar with the layout.
Yeah.
Things like that. We've talked about the kind of the intuitiveness of like when you see a UI element, we as gamers generally know that's my health, that's my mana, that's this,
Yeah.
because the color
That's,
coded.
that's mission requirements, like
Yeah,
your objectives. Yeah.
the little gun icon that says this is how much ammo you have in your chamber and this is how much you've got in back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What else is there on your list that you would like to discuss?
Another thing that I was thinking is the imperative, something that I call the imperative to have fun, where you give a game to someone and they are frustrated because they're not feeling it, because they're not like they don't know whether they're doing things right. They're like constantly like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, am I doing this? Am I playing this? mean, is this playing a game?
Direction.
Is this
Are you
fun?
winning, son?
Yeah, like I don't know that.
Are you winning, father?
Yeah, are you winning, Dad? I have no idea. Yeah, because there's some when this is not your first game, intuitively that you should do this, you should go there, that you have an objective marked on a map or on a compass or something. You're paying attention to the world around you when you don't know what to pay attention to. You don't pay attention to anything, and you suddenly have no idea what's happening. You'll be attacked by a dragon. And you have no idea what happens because you're not really understanding what's going on the screen. And even when you know what's happening with a game that's easy to approach, like for example Breath of the Wild. It's a game where it tells you go have fun. You get your glider, and you're just told in the middle there is Ganon. There are 4 places that you can go to, but you have to defeat this guy. Now go. You don't get told anything else much. And
No.
people are just
A lot of games generally do that. Like for example, I'm calling it back to one of my greatest games of all time, in my opinion. Super Metroid. You literally just land on a space station, and sure you have that linear progression through, but then after that you just land on this planet, and it's like, well, where do I go? And I often can foresee that people who don't have the game mentality don't have the idea of like, well, they kind of have like a deer in headlights moment where it's like, okay, there's too many options. I don't have any direction. I have no motivation. It's a bit like saying to an
What's
actor.
What's my character's motivation?
It's a bit like saying to an actor, okay, act.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they don't know. You give them nothing to work with.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, but what do I do? Whatever you want, but I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
What I want is to go home and get paid.
It's kind of like, because I've given an example of Breath of the Wild because that's a game that gives you a lot of freedom. So when you have an inquisitive and explorative soul, you just go around, see, oh, I can climb everything. You climb trees, you climb walls, you climb buildings, you climb everything. You mount horses, you mount your friends, you can do anything, whatever you want. You try to shoot, you try to throw rocks at things, you try to throw goblins at other goblins, you try to cook those goblins, you try to cook berries, you eat berries, you feed goblins those berries, you do whatever you want.
You mount the
And-
goblets?
Yeah. But when you're not sure whether you can, whether you are allowed to, you don't really know whether you should be experimenting, because you don't know, should be given some objectives. If you're not given them, should you just wait until you do? What you just don't know what to do when someone tells you go and have fun. And this is, if I may, this is something that I have suggested to my manager, and we're doing that whenever I'm doing tech screening to people, when I'm hiring people, because this has proven to be a lot of fun for everyone, and it's proven to be effective. Where I'm giving them a remote control over a Unix system, and I'm telling them that I want them to do this. But it breaks when they do this. And I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? This doesn't work now. And like I'm trying to prompt them to come up with ideas to explore, like, oh, can we install something else? And I'm like, yeah, maybe we'll install something else. And they try to do this. Is, oh no, we don't have an internet connection. What should we do now? So I'm trying to turn it into a game where you have to explore your possibilities. And yeah, even if they fail on the operation that we're supposed to do, when they're creative, when they're trying to break things and see what they can do, that's the people who I'm giving the best marks in that. So I feel like
sometimes having fun is you find the fun even if it's not what the intended fun experience is.
Yes,
Yes.
but but still people do require this guy saying, hey, oh no, we don't know what to do, maybe we should have fun like this, because a lot of people would be like, yeah, but I don't know, they just give up, because if the things they've learned don't work, they just tend to give.
Basically, in a
Yes,
game with
yes, hello?
in a freedom game like Breath of the Wild, you need prompting every now and then. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
remember you got to do this. Remember you can do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shadow.
that's true. Yeah.
I was just thinking that's very similar to how I felt moving from video games to TTRPGs. Because I'm so used to the structure a video game gives me that as soon as somebody pulls that structure away and goes,
Yeah.
all right, you are now the RPG character. What do you want to do? And I'm like, what can I do? Anything. And I'm like, what? Because
Mm.
And yeah.
I'm looking for that framework. I'm grasping around like, okay, so I can only do this certain amount of things that I can do. And it's like, no, you could do something completely different. Like you don't have to. There are rules, but like you don't need to. You don't have like an. It's not like I have a dialogue wheel and there's like 3 options.
Yeah.
Be nice, ask a question, be a fuckhead kind of thing.
If anything, you've only got there's no dialogue options. You say what you speak, but what you say determines what
Yeah.
you then do. It's
Yeah,
it's a very different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
it's pretty scary to begin with though,
Yeah.
because suddenly you're so used to
It is.
the game dictating what choices you have, and then suddenly it's like, all right, big shot, you decide what you're doing. You're like,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah, I want to add an opposite thing to what you just said, which is the frustration of people who are being told that the game has all those options, and then they realize that this is limited options. Like when you're told you can romance so many people, you can do so many things in Mass
I
Effect.
can't
But then,
romance Cassandra
yeah,
as a
yeah,
woman in Dragon
and
Age Inquisition. I was lied to.
yeah, and then it turns out that you can only talk in a certain way. You can only say certain things to certain people, and you can't do everything.
I got queer baited with Tally, and I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's also because it also now reminds me that not only new gamers have those frustration and this cognitive disco biscuit with games, because when whenever you're being told some really exciting story about Ark or about Eve Online, or Eve Online is the best example probably.
Spreadsheets, the game.
You're being told this whole huge story about this amazing things that is happening, this battles in space, this amazing narrative. Then turns out that Eve Online is actually spreadsheets in space.
In space.
Yeah, and you're like, this is the most sort of emergent gameplay example like I've ever seen. 'Cause I've been told the stories like that about Europa Universalis 4 long time, no, 3 long time ago by a friend, and it was a very similar thing when he would be telling me the whole story about his empire, and then it looks completely different when you play it yourself.
The experience of what you go through as a gamer tends to be very different from the
Mhm.
literal experience of what you have. I say that because RPGs are almost exactly the same. When you break it down, I am literally just someone talking to you guys, and you guys tell me
Yeah,
what you're
we're,
doing.
we're, we're literally playing pretend.
We're playing pretend,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
with rules and structure. But you guys will say, "Oh, it's amazing when this happened," and that's because it's about creating an experience for you.
Yes.
Mm, indeed.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Da.
Yeah, I was as a like my final thought of the day on this subject, I was wondering what kind of approach should we have to teaching people how to play games, to teaching people how to understand games, because the ideas that I've noticed from my own experience or from experience of the little ones that I play with or my brother plays with is that you always need someone to teach you some things. So like, I don't know how did any of you figure out that you can run in Super Mario Brothers?
I held
I
down.
had manuals.
Yeah, I held down B once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a video game manual. I think that's the thing because I had a manual that I would read religiously for a little bit while because what would happen is like I would get a PC game and they would have it would be a thick ass manual and I would sit down and read that religiously for like
Yeah.
half an hour, maybe an hour kind of thing, and then play the game. And I would be reading the manuals on my off time because usually they would have like interesting stuff in them, especially for strategy games because they would have
I
info on the
Mm.
units and the buildings, and I was just like,
I remember the original booklet that came with Command and Conquer Red Alert. I don't know if anybody here ever actually had that booklet,
No.
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 but around the rim of every page was a series of dots and dashes.
Morse code.
Yeah, every page was rimmed with Morse code, and being a young child without access to the internet at the time, I found a book on Morse code and I translated that son of a bitch.
Oh wow!
That's so cool.
That's kind of one's great
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
what you go through.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, I remember being a fucking nerd about like ancient civilizations because I played like Age of Empires because of the
Yeah.
stuff. And like I learned from RuneScape that if you put copper and tin together, you get bronze.
Yeah.
It's amazing the fact that the stuff that because you say where did I learn it from, Burr? It's just it's the accumulation of just general kind of knowledge of my experience in games over the years. Whenever I enter a game, my mind kind of feeds into that like memory of okay, where does it fit into the idea of what I am familiar with? And sometimes the game doesn't do that. The game, like for example, I'm looking for a UI. There's no UI, but very often, eventually, the game will say, "Hey, look, this on your person or some element in the game itself. This is this, and this does this." Or it gives you an example. You're using it, and you infer, "Okay, when I jump, that thing on my scarf light goes down. Therefore, I have a limited number of jumpings, and this is what's measuring how much jumps I've got." There's almost like a linear progress of like
Yeah.
thinking through things because my
Yes.
mind has been trained to make those logical leaps. When I do something might happen elsewhere. That's a pattern, and that's that. Then it's like, okay, well, that's a gauge, So
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, when I boost when I boost in Absu, my flippers start decreasing in size. And then they
Yeah.
eventually come down to nothing. So that must mean when my boost is out. So then you wait for it to recharge, and sometimes your
Yeah.
flippers get longer. Like I have no boost time.
it's
Yeah,
more
that-
it's more common for kind of abstract games. But even though those games often tell you, and that's the thing, if people moan about games being handholdy, most of the times when there's something in a game that I don't know about, the game will tell me, and
Yeah.
that's I think people kind of moan about tutorials and things when tutorials are what making people gamers these days because
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
assuming people who start off games we know that's your health,
Yeah.
but this might be someone's first game.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
exactly.
I was thinking regarding tutorials that tutorials could be optional, but in the term of you can choose whether like I've never played a video game before, or I've played the video games but not this one, or give me the game right now. And you would have a tutorial that would explain to you like this is the screen, this is your character, like you're seeing it from behind you, things like that. Now try moving, now try looking around, things that are totally like basic for someone who's never played the game,
I
or like mm,
yeah, I
the
like
the problem if you don't mind me going, Shadow, the problem I feel is like where do you draw the line about where someone knows that information, where that's common knowledge? And I feel like you're making a lot of assumptions there about what people know and will know about games.
I mean, one thing that
Yeah.
I feel fervently should actually be a thing is every device, so games console, entertainment device, everything that's there for entertainment should come with like a program or a disc or something that's just like, here's how the system works.
Yeah.
You were going to say, Shannon?
Yeah, I was gonna, as to add on to what Burr was saying, as like I really like the way Sword and Shield did it, where it says, okay, here's some Pokeballs for you, and if you turn up to the Pokemon catching tutorials with Pokemon already that you've caught already in your party, the game goes, oh yeah, I see you've. The tutorial person says, oh yeah, I see that you've caught Pokeballs, so you obviously know what you're doing. Here's the Pokeball. Here's Pokeballs. Go nuts. But if you haven't, the game goes, okay, here's the tutorial. Here's how we do it. But I think that's more for, I think that's more genre to genre kind of thing, because not all games can has a very easy sort of, this is how you tell that this person has done this game before or not. And I think I agree with Lemming in that there needs to be a game or a tutorial on the console, or for some games as the sort of, hey, if you've never played a game before and this is your first game, here's how we're gonna do it kind of thing. And I do respect like tutorials a lot, because as much as people said, oh yeah, well, I played the game and I just learned it as I went along. It's just like, yeah, sure, you can do that, but not everybody can. If it's your first game and if it's your first game ever and you haven't got the time to put into learning it, you're just gonna be like, I have no fucking idea, and then just leave, kind of thing, and never go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to apologize because I did not catch almost any of what you said, because my internet decided to die
Oh,
again.
Yeah,
Oh,
it happened.
So I switched to my phone. I hope it didn't get noticed too much.
no, we didn't
No.
realize you were gone.
No.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
no,
I wanted to say that we would really benefit from some sort of tutorials that would be for more advanced, less advanced people. But also, I was thinking that companies might have noticed and might have decided that this is the cheapest way that they can go through with it, which is for almost every game and for almost every age, you will find a lot of YouTubers, streamers that will show you how to play a certain game. And this is sort of filling the gap for a lot of tutorials for games, because I've noticed a lot of people would be watching this or that game, and this or that YouTuber to see how this game is being played, and they're learning from that. So those yes.
Part of me thinks that people shouldn't have to go to a third-party source. But
Yeah, I agree, but the thing is, since the companies see that this is already done for them, they don't have much incentives to create any information like that for the people, and just will outsource it for free to those YouTubers.
Yeah, do I need to like point out the bad idea there is in just taking shortcuts in general?
yeah.
Because a real world example of taking shortcuts is, I'm going to go into my military knowledge here. A small company called Accuracy International produced a rifle and submitted it for the British weapons sniper rifle trials. This was in the late 80s. And they were just like, well, we only do target rifles. We're not going to win, but maybe we'll get some pointers on how to improve. They then proceeded to win it handily.
Oh, dang.
Their weapon, known as the Accuracy International, named after the company, the L80, the L86A1, I think. No, that's something else. The Green Meanie, classic, everyone's seen, British sniper rifle. Won it handily. They then found out they didn't have the personnel and manufacturing capacity to do it themselves. So the British Ministry of Defence handed that contract to a third party. That third party was mostly known for doing missiles. larger scale things, big things that go boom. So they were given this contract to build this weapon to spec, given to them by Accuracy International, who had designed the weapon. Shortly after units starting receiving these weapons, people were starting to get injured by bolts exploding in their faces.
Oof.
And this was immediately blamed on Accuracy International. They've given us bad plans. It's not working, all that. And then after a complete breakdown of what was going on, it turned out they'd cut corners.
Oof. Of course
This
they did.
contract, this company that had been contracted to build the spec had changed the spec. They had rounded off the numbers and said, yeah, that'll do.
Well, there you go.
And that was causing injuries.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Don't cut corners.
Don't cut corners.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think accessibility is something we do take advantage of. I do agree with everyone. We need something. Too many games these days make a lot of assumptions. I feel like Astro's Playroom is a great example. What you said about the quest, great example about a kind of starter game. I like when I played Astro's Playroom, I liked it for the nostalgia, but also just for the history lesson it gave you, and also because it was a very simple game that got you used to holding the controllers and getting used to seeing what the controller could do.
Yeah. And also for its simplicity, it was very extensive and long game. And,
Oh yeah.
you can go for at least 2 weeks without buying another PS5 game. Just playing Astro's Playroom.
I had fun playing that, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend that. But no, thank you for the topic, Burr. I think, it's been a good kind of interesting kind of topic for us to discuss about literacy because, I think it's something that we take advantage of because, I've always kind of felt like I've always wanted my parents to kind of understand what I liked about gaming. But of course, they're not going to play a game. I've always wanted to kind of sit them down and say, well, you think what I do is all just killing people and doing all this. There's more to it than that. It's about the story that I experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tell people to kill other people.
Yeah, sometimes I tell people to kill other people.
Yeah, sometimes it is killing people.
Sometimes I tell that minion to climb inside that shark tank himself. But
Sometimes we just want to play
Yes,
golf.
boss.
sometimes we just want to play golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your friends. Yes.
Sometimes we just drive around and Evac bullies me by throwing about a million shells to the back of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing, gaming is such a wide category that people tend to. The people that understand it tend to kind of pigeonhole it into only certain things that fits their narrative.
Bang, bang.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we can thank for that is Hollywood. Because
Yeah.
for quite a long time, it was showing games as those 8-bit things that just go beep, beep, boop, and not much else. And then when it turns out that they're way behind the times, now they're showing all the games are Call of Duty. And
you remember,
10 years old spewing profanities at you over the chat.
before we wrap up, can you two remember Shadow and Burr when we watched the episode of House and he was playing Metroid Zero Mission?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he said, see if you can get to level 4. And I'm like, there's no levels in Metroid.
There's no level
You know,
4.
Yeah.
there's no levels in Metroid.
Yeah.
What-
I got to say, the only time that I remember in a mainstream media where the video games were given the proper approach was a long time ago. It was an episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Malcolm says to Bryan Cranston, "You'll never. I bet I can beat Mortal Kombat." And he says, "No way, no one beats Sub-Zero."
Yeah.
There are factual shows like I think Dara O'Brien's great show by the way.
Oh,
Yes.
Because actually they're showing celebrities doing actual gaming, which I love that. I love shows that
Yes.
kind of present literal gaming into the mainstream media in an appropriate kind of way.
In the appropriate kind of way, because I'm looking at you, Conan O'Brien, you clueless gamer.
Oh,
I hate you with all my heart.
Yeah,
hate that.
Oh, dear.
I
so
hate it
much.
too because Conan is just there for the gag and to basically
Yeah.
to make it look like he's being an idiot. It's like, well, that's him, but people are laughing at him being bad at the game. They're not seeing that the game is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, look at this game, it's interesting. It's, aren't I terrible at this thing?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you can get a similar experience from watching somebody who can't cook burn a flan.
Although he once made the joke about a MILF god when he was playing Witcher 3, and I did enjoy that joke.
Yeah, I just
Fair.
wish there would be a lot more like political commentators who and
Yeah.
you know and like kind of serious kind of
Yeah.
journalists who are going to say, "Hey, look, this is a good game. You should play this."
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Also, I gotta say, we should be very grateful for Henry Cavill, who
Yes.
showed the
Oh,
world that you can be a heartthrob and a nerd at the same time.
Show the world that you can be fucking shirtless and build a PC at the same
God,
fucking time with
yes.
abs.
Yeah.
Hell
Fuck
yeah.
me.
And also be very indignant with someone on
Was that a
on the
request
interview.
now?
Yeah, also, you can be very indignant when someone on the interview asks you, like, Xbox or PlayStation, they go, PC!
Yeah, not just that, but just like, I like. It's like, well, I'll play all of them. That's what I say. I hate console wars,
Yeah.
but also, I also love. It's like, yeah, my idea for my show, get
Yeah.
big muscle bound nerds, just shirtless, who can build a gaming PC the fastest time.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have
I
Henry.
think does that classify as porn?
Oh.
Are we going to start? Is episode 1 going to be Henry Cavill and Terry Crews then?
Terry Crews, yes.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yes,
Although,
like, gentlemen,
although it's-
gentlemen, here are your
Hen-
PC pieces. Please take all the time you need.
No, no. Henry Cavill and Terry Crews should be the hosts.
Yes. I'll take that.
Oh my god, you are the worst. Affectionately. I was trying to remember. Oh yeah, I remember now. And yet, still, in the medical field, a doctor will still refer to whatever the fuck handheld gaming console somebody has in their pocket as a Nintendo. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Oh no, except for Nintendo, which will be called something else probably.
No, they all call them Nintendo. Jeez. I don't know how old that doctor was,
Yeah.
but they were old.
In that case, I think Nintendo need to come and be a bit litigious, as they tend to be.
It's all
I would
games,
actually-
consoles,
I would
and
actually-
Nintendos.
I would prefer that they actually port fucking like Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 to like where the fuck are my GameCube games?
Do it, you cowards. Do it.
Do it, you cowards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go off on a complete
Yeah.
limb there. Like, hey Disney, put fucking Sathari in your canon like Star Wars shows, or
Yeah.
I'll headcanon the entire.
You
fucking
won't,
race
you're
for you.
scared.
So,
We happen to know someone who's already written quite a bit of Cesario.
I know. I'll do
Use
it.
that.
I'll do it.
So we this is going to be the conclusion of episode 19 of the Common Nets podcast. We're going to be back with episode 20 maybe in December, although more than likely I'm probably going to pitch the guys, let's not do a show in December because that would be the 27th. No,
Yeah.
let's do it on like the 3rd of January. So we got the first
Hell
of
yeah.
that.
Yes.
So we can celebrate Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk about Christmas. We could have the
And
big
the end of
show.
the year.
Yeah, we can have the big old show
Yeah.
over there and be Christmas.
Yeah, and we can
Yes.
we can talk about the Games Award.
Yeah, and we can talk about the Games Award. That'll be our main subject for the January podcast, the Game Awards. So you'll have the
Yes.
gaming news, and then of course the topics from us. Talk about our favorite topics, and maybe even get our game of the year for each one individually.
Yeah. Maybe.
Remember?
As for that,
I think I played some video games.
As for Doctor, because as you know, Doctor is the 5th member of this podcast. Whether he'll be here for the next show, don't know. I can't promise anything. I'm not going to say why, due to being respect out of him. He's got some personal things going on.
Yes.
Nothing bad. It's actually pretty
It's
good,
good.
actually.
It's
It's
good.
it's great. It's just that we don't want to put pressure on him necessarily to be here. All we're going to say is we miss you and good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Get some
All the best,
fucking
bud.
sleep.
And with that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up because Lemming, you've got some sleeping to do.
Yes, I have one in the
Yes.
morning.
All right
Oi,
then, everyone.
oi,
I
mate.
want to thank everyone here who's been in the chat. I want to thank Kat for the raid earlier. I want to thank Drifting for being in the chat as well, and also all of those who stick around to watch our stupid little show where we talk about the news and comment dancing upon
We're
our various
professionals,
opinions. We're
guys.
professionals here.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to thank my co-hosts for this episode. Of course, Shadow Phoenix Rider,
Hello.
Lemming down there,
Goodbye.
and Burr.
Yeah.
My name's Benny Back. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
I'm waving.
Whee!
I'm not.